Welcome to our Daily Forex Market Analysis call. This is for trading on August 29th, 2018. Just a quick disclaimer before we get started. This is for educational purposes only. Trading is a risky business, so please be careful with your money. And as usual, we'll start off by taking a look at our Forex Factory calendar here. So not a whole lot in terms of news today. Coming up on Wednesday, we do have some red news here. So preliminary GDP numbers will be important. Current account number, which is like the trade balance number, will be important for Canada, especially with NAFTA negotiations in the process right now. So that will be important. Crude oil inventories are important here as well. And in our Asian session, we have business confidence number for New Zealand as well as capital expenditure numbers for Australia. Excuse me. So those will be the key points for tomorrow. Let's move on to the charts here. That was a nice trade there. I didn't take it, but that was a nice short there after yesterday. All right, so we'll start off by taking a look at Euro US dollar as usual. So yesterday we had talked about this being moved to the upside. We were looking for a move to the upside, so we got that. Now we are into that support resistance level that we had talked about here. So as we can see, there are multiple times where price had tested this level at 1.1750. And now we have a pin bar into that level. So we have seen this move to the upside here, and now we have a pin bar. So we are at an interesting point. So the difference with this pin bar, one of the reasons this is not my favorite pin bar, is that I like this kind of a pin bar where a price does push down. There's no green in it, it's just red. The difference between this type of pin bar is that it can still go higher. So overall, right now, what I'm looking for Euro dollar would be potentially another retest of that level. So I will look for a move like this and then a drop from there. So that will be my first case scenario. So there is still a little bit of bullishness in there. Still, I'm looking for price to push up higher into 1.1750 level and then potentially drop from there. Now there is this one can happen as well. So if the price were to go and hold above this previous support resistance level, chances are it can go higher. So that's something to keep in mind. But my base case scenario is that I'm looking for price to push up higher, do a retest of that level, and then drop from there. So overall, still bullishness, but we are into a resistance. And I do like this 1.1750 resistance. If it does move higher, that will be the next level to watch out for. So this is Euro dollar. Pound dollar here, this one looks better. So yesterday we had talked about this price coming in, retesting this area. So now this is a nice red pin bar. So I will look for price to drop from here. So biases to the downside for pound dollar and looking for a 1.2795 level here. So biases to the downside for pound dollar. Aussie dollar here, this one is looks a little range bound at the moment. So we have seen price push up higher. Right now, this is an indecision candle. So as we can see from volume here as well, that's neutral volume. And in terms of the candle here, we have pins on both sides. So it's an indecision candle. Now, there is some bearishness here, and we can see that there's no momentum to the upside at this point. So for Aussie dollar, I will look at neutral to bias being to the downside. So we could see a retest of this 0.7385 level and then a drop from there. But it does look like we are coming into resistance and then price can drop from here. So bias is to the downside, neutral to downside for Aussie dollar. New Zealand dollar, this one is neutral as well. We are into resistance here. So with this one, now there is green in here. That means there is still bullishness in here. So if price were to close on the other side of 0.6720, chances are it's going to go higher. into this previous range that it had been trading in. So right now, bias is neutral for New Zealand dollar, but I would watch out for how the price reacts into the support. If it goes on the other side, then we could get one of these moves, and price could start trading within the range above this range here. So it's at a critical point in terms of support and resistance. My bias on this is neutral. We just have to wait and see. If price crosses over to the other side of 67.20, then we're looking long. But if it holds below this level here, then chances are it can drop here as well. Another thing that could happen is that price goes into this support and resistance at 0.6760 level and then drops from there. That is also likely. So I would keep that in mind as well. But if it kind of crosses here, then chances are it's just going to trade within this range above here. Dollar CAD. Dollar CAD has done well. Yesterday, we were looking for price to drop. We were into support here. So price has dropped now. We have cleared that support, and bias now is to the downside. And I'm looking for price to come and test this 1.2850 level to the downside. So bias for dollar CAD is bearish. Euro pound here, yesterday we had talked about how this was looking bullish. Today it's looking bullish here as well. Next target is 0.9120 level to the upside, which is the next support and resistance level. So bias is still bullish for euro pound. Pound Swiss here, this one we have seen a bearish engulfing candle, not a huge one, but bearish engulfing nonetheless. So price came into that support and resistance. I was looking for price to go a little higher, but looks like it is reacting to that support and resistance right there. So right now it looks biased to the downside, and I'm looking for price to drop. Now, if it does cross above the highs here, then again, price is likely to go and trade in this range here. But based on the daily candle close, it's a bearish engulfing candle. So I'm looking for price to drop. And the target here would be essentially this support and resistance level at 1.1360 level. So bias is to the downside for Euro Swiss franc. Pound Swiss franc, this one is still more bearish than Euro Swiss franc. We talked about this one yesterday as well, being bearish or more bearish. So we have a nice bearish candle close here. Again, bearish engulfing candle close, solid candle close. So I'm looking for price to drop. It has cleared the support level. So the next target is to the downside here. And with this one, the best move would be something like this. Price comes and retests this support and resistance level, and then a drop from there. So bias is to the downside for pound Swiss, and target is a 1.2480 level to the downside. Dollar Swiss, this we talked about how this was more bearish than either one of those. So now we have had another drop here. So yesterday, this candle close here was similar to the pound Swiss franc candle close we have today. And so this is just to kind of make a note there. So this is a bearish candle close as well. We have cleared the support level here. So looking for it to drop further. Next target would be 0.9700. So bias is to the downside for dollar Swiss franc. Pound yen, we have a pin bar on this. And so this one is looking bearish here and looking for price to drop. And the target here would be a 142.50 level here. That would be the first target. And then the second target would be 141.80 levels. So pound yen biases to the downside. And we have a little pin bar on here. Euro yen is still looking bullish. Yesterday was bullish as well. So I think there's room to go further here. And so the bias is bullish. Target will be a 131.10 level here. So still looking for further upside, but seems like the momentum is decreasing here. We have a large candle, smaller, smaller. So we could see maybe a push up high and then turn around here as well. So keep an eye on this. So bias is still to the upside for euro yen. Dollar yen here, this is just sideways at the moment. Hasn't really done much for the last 3 days. It made this push up higher and it's just sitting sideways here. So bias is sideways. Now we could see price go up into this support resistance level, push up higher. But at this point, I'm neutral on this. So this one may not be the best one to trade. Aussie yen as well, looking very neutral. Price has just kind of stayed around the same level, hasn't really done much, hasn't moved much at this point. Not my favorite one to trade here either, but overall bias is to the upside, and then we are neutral. So it could still go higher, but daily, from the daily perspective, that's neutral. New Zealand yen, this is looking more bullish. Yesterday, this was neutral. Today it's looking more bullish, so this one could go higher, and again it could go all the way into the 75.27 level. This looks very similar to the New Zealand dollar pair as it stands right now, so I think this one could go higher into 75.27 level. CAD yen, this one is looking bullish here as well. Yesterday we had a bullish pin bar, and today we have a bullish candle close as well. So I'm looking for price to go into the high here to test the candle. The high of this 86.33 is the bias to the upside. So it is bullish right now. Euro CAD, this one is looking bearish. So this is the similar pin bar to pound yen. No, not pound yen, euro dollar. Euro dollar. So this is looking similar. So let's just switch back here, Euro CAD. So yesterday in Euro CAD, we had this type of a pin bar. And as you can see, we have seen a drop in there from there. But as we can see how it went and tested higher before it dropped. So that's why the green pin bars still have bullishness in them. So just kind of a point about euro there. But right now, this is looking bearish, looking for price to drop. A 1.5050 will be the target to the downside. So bias is bearish for euro CAD. Pound CAD here, this one, we had a nice doji here, multiple pin to the upside. Our bias was to the downside. So we have seen a nice bearish candle close here. So now looking for further downside here, we are into support. As we can see, this is the level that price traded at before. And here we are looking at price to drop further. So this is looking bearish. I'm looking for it to drop further. 1.6520 will be the next level. And then below that, we have a 1.6350 to the downside. Now, do keep in mind there's current account numbers coming out for Canada, so that could have an impact. But right now, this looks, as we can see, it was quite neutral for some time from volume perspective, and it was just going sideways. And finally, we have seen a red candle close here, so this is looking bearish. Euro Aussie, yesterday we talked about it going higher, and we have seen that. So basically with Euro Aussie, we had a move to the upside, pull back, and now we are looking more bullish here. So bullish candle close, looking for it to go further higher. 1.5966 will be the target to the upside, and above that we are looking at 1.6050. So 1.5960 level, and then 1.6050 will be the two targets to the upside, but looking bullish. This one is looking bearish here. So we saw this big bearish engulfing candle close. It's kind of gone sideways. So this looks like a pullback now. It had a nice pin to pin retest. So now I would be looking for it to drop. 1.7420 will be the target to the downside for pound Aussie. Pound New Zealand, this one is looking bearish, looking for price to drop further, and 1.9050 will be the target to the downside. This whole inefficient move here, looking for a fill of that move. So bias is to the downside. Target is 1.9050 level. And Euro New Zealand, we have a doji here and looking for price to drop from here. And target here would be 1.7350. So the bias is bearish for Euro New Zealand. Okay, so next thing, let's have a quick peek at gold here. So gold is turning around here. Okay, so pulled back into this previous support resistance, hasn't gone higher. I was looking for it to go higher here. Hasn't done that. It is looking bearish. So nice bearish engulfing candle close here for gold. And as such, bias is to the downside based on that, because it's not hasn't pulled back further, got stuck into this resistance here. So the next target here would be 1191, and 1183 level is I think a good target here. Yeah, it's all the way to 1200 right now. So I would look for a pullback here and then a drop for gold. And as we can see, both like the US dollar is turning around as well, and that's causing that that change here as well. So bias is to the downside for gold. Oil here, bias is to the downside. We talked about this pin and this resistance here. Price has not been able to go to the other side of it. We have a bearish candle close here. So looking for price to drop based on the daily candle close, and 67.20 will be the target to the downside. So bias is bearish for oil. And lastly, let's take a look at what our Bitcoin is doing. Bitcoin looking bullish. We have finally made it past this resistance here. So nice bullish candle close here. So bias is bullish. And now I'll be looking for price to go higher here, back into 77.80 level. So bias is bullish for Bitcoin. So, Eamon, can you expand on that? What do you mean institutional money coming in? Oh, it being the beginning of the month? Oh, no. So basically, with the month end, what they do is it's usually, I find that it tends to move in the opposite direction of the initial moves, just because people are closing positions, or institutional traders are closing position. So whatever the previous trend is, it tends to reverse going into the month end. So it looks like we are seeing that right now with money going into the US dollar. So people closing out positions. So that's what I meant by that. But it does look like US dollar is getting stronger here. And let's have a quick peek at the trading view here. They want me to sign up for it. Oh, here's the dollar index. So we'll have a quick peek at the dollar index here. And how do I change this again? Here. Okay, so from dollar index perspective, we are coming into support. There is room to the downside, so 94.19, which is where the support resistance is. So it could drop further, but the close today is not particularly strong to the downside. Strong bottom in the gold. Amen. So let's go back to the gold here for a sec, the dollar index strong bottom. Let's take a look at it. Well, it is bottom. I mean, it's into support. But if we were to, let's say, go to a weekly chart, I wouldn't call it as like super strong. It is strong support and resistance, but it's not hard bottom like this one. Like it's not as strong. It's just we're kind of getting into that support level. If we take a look at where my cursor is, my cross here is all the way over here. There's all these pins to it. So it is strong support resistance level. We're coming up to it. So it could bounce off of there. Yeah, and if US dollar goes up, gold tends to go in the opposite direction. All right, sounds good. So we will wrap it up here. And you guys have a wonderful evening. We will be back into our London trading again starting next week. For now, we'll just keep with the daily analysis. So you guys have a wonderful evening, and I will see you tomorrow then. Bye for now.